Hello everyone, welcome to 213D. So this is the part 3 of our series, that is creating the puppet from scratch, A to Z. This is a comprehensive guide of how to create like from drawing stage up until animation stage. Well, not animation stage, but actually creating the puppet stage. So in the last episode, or the last part, we talked about we worked on the mouth. So we created all the mouth visms for the character, so that you'll be able to use the character for lip syncing and stuff like that. So in this episode, mostly what we'll be covering is giving the character facial triggers, that's giving the character emotions. So what I'm doing here is I'm drawing the eyebrow in a straight line, just from my head. You have to draw it in a straight line because we're about to make that part we just drew, like this eyebrow we just drew, that is a straight lined eyebrow. We're going to be making it into a brush, an art brush to be specific. So after creating an art brush, it makes the work easier for us, so that we could just use parts, maybe the pen tool. You could use the pen tool and then you draw whatever shape you want to draw. Well, you'll be seeing that, and I'll be explaining what I'm doing eventually, but I'm just giving a recap of what we'll be doing in this episode, in this part. So right now, what you do is you expand what you have created. That is, if you use the paint bucket tool, you expand it so that it becomes a part, and then you select it, and then you go to your brush, and then you select art brush, and then you apply it. And after applying it, now we have it as an art brush. So you could use the pen tool to just draw lines. You just draw lines, and you'll be able to apply this brush to that line. So now that's what I'm about to do. I got the pen tool, and I'm about to draw just a default position, because that is the first trigger. Not really trigger, because it's not really a trigger, it's just a default. So you draw that first. So I'm just making his eyebrow align straight, and then now you apply the brush, and then boom, have an eyebrow, and with just two parts. So this is an easy method of doing this, instead of going through and redrawing this eyebrow. And since I'm making them I'm making several eyebrows, several eyebrows for different emotions, and then I'm making them cycle, so it's a bit difficult to be going through and be drawing them one after the other. So this part method is the absolutely best, and this is actually one of the reasons I actually love using Adobe Illustrator, because you could just use parts. I don't know if this feature is available in Photoshop, but I really doubt. I've used Photoshop for a while, and honestly speaking, I've not seen something of this nature before. So I don't know. If you think there's a method that is something close to this using Photoshop, please just let me know in the comment section. I'll be happy to check it out. So what I just did was I duplicated this eyebrow, dragged it to the left, flipped it, that is reflect it, and then boom, we have the left eyebrow, or the right eyebrow, depending on where you're facing. So okay, so now we have the default, and you can adjust it. In some cases, your character could be characters with maybe a higher eyebrow, or a lower eyebrow, or an angry kind of eyebrow, like default angry face. So you adjust that, and then because from the default position, that is where you can get any other position you want. That's from where you can get the angry position, the happy position, whatever facial emotion you want to give to your character. So now that I've created that, from this I could just duplicate the default, just duplicate it, move it upwards, and then I could create, just moving the part, I could create whatever shape I want, and that is exactly what I'm going to be doing. So I duplicated it, I hid the default, that is the initial one, and mind you, I'm not naming them right now. You could do that alternatively, but in my own case, I prefer to do everything at once and then come in and name them one after the other. So for now, I don't name them. I'm just duplicating and reworking on it. So just work this out in isolation. I don't know why I did not use isolation for this, because I love using isolation, but just try to work this with isolation, at least in isolation mode, and at least it will look way easier and way better. It will make your work look cleaner. So okay, I think I went in and just renamed it also. I think so. Well, okay, no, I did not rename it. What I did there was the reference brush, that is the part I made into a brush, that is the group I made into a brush. I just named them ref, that is the reference. So I put all these reusable stuff that I use to create other things, I keep them in that ref folder. So if you have ever used any of my Puppet, you will see a folder with plus ref, and that folder, it is necessary especially when you want to go in and fix the character. Like if you want me to add certain things for the character, or maybe certain emotions and stuff like that, there's always a chance that those parts you might have messed with, those parts or those your brush, you might have messed with it. So I could come in and recreate those brush again using those ref. So if you check those ref, you see the hand, you see the brow, and then you see in some cases you see some maybe shirt or something like that. So just don't mess with it. That's if you get one of our puppets, which our link is in the description, so you could go there and grab. There are actually free puppets also there, so you could check them out and just explore whatever. So now I duplicated it, so I grouped both eyebrow into one because I like doing that. I like creating each of the brows, I create them in one group, and then even when it's a cycle, I still create them in one group, so the eyes are not separate. I actually worked on some people's puppet at one point, and they were separating the eyebrow. There's no point for separating it. These are stuff that actually work together, so there's no real point of separating, except you want to rely on the software. If you want to rely on the movement of the brow, you want to make the software to, like, you when you're using facial when you're using face behavior in Adobe Character Animator, then it's necessary for you to split them, but there's no point splitting them. So now I'm making the angry position. As you can see, I'm just dragging the vertices and where the vertices are not curved, you can actually add a curve and whatever like that, and just try to get angry. If you're following this tutorial, just try as much as possible to get it to look angry. Like this character right now is looking angry, but I'm still not satisfied with how it's looking, so I believe angry, well, just adjust it till you get the perfect position. And from here, some people could just go in and just create angry and create everything, and then they just move on and that's it, they are done with this. But me, in my own case, I like creating this in cycles layer. I like adding cycles layers, then cycle layer behavior to this kind of thing. So I create two groups, two layers. Let me use layers, but it's groups actually, but let's just say layers. So I'm creating two layers in every emotion, so that it doesn't just flip from default position, from like default eyebrow, from like the normal eyebrow to like angry immediately in just one frame. It won't look very good to just look well. If that is what you're going for, then it's fine, but it won't look very flexible. So it's better you make two layers, and then like the second layer will be almost towards angry. I'm just assuming it's angry that you're working on, almost towards angry, and then angry should be the last layer, so that the cycle layers will move from the almost angry to the angry, and then it will smoothen out. The animation will look smooth. So now I'm working on the like inquisitive kind of eyebrow, like he's asking a question or he's worried about something or something like that. So that's exactly what I'm creating here. And then you could flip it. In this case, I cannot flip it because the eyebrows are not the same. The eye is a bit edged to the side, so I could not flip it. So I had to recreate the flipped version of the same thing manually. So that is exactly what I did here again. And then what other emotions? In my own case, aside from this character, I actually do create up like 9 emotional triggers for my characters, because well, there are so many emotional triggers that you could check out, so many that are not mentioned in this tutorial, but you could get maybe if you go online, you'll be able to see, or go on Pinterest, you'll be able to see emotional poses, and then you see so many poses, and you could replicate that in your characters. But for this character, I stuck with like 5 or 6 or so. So just understand what I'm doing, and then use the knowledge of what you've learned from here to recreate whatever facial position, or brow position, or eye position, or facial emotional position poses that you have seen online. So this is way easier than going through and redrawing every single thing one after the other, honestly. So I think this is time now to create the in-between. I believe this is where I started creating the in-between. So the in-between, what I do is I duplicate the default position of the eyebrow, that is the neutral eyebrow, the eyebrow that when the character is not thinking of anything, the character is just there. So I duplicated that, and then I will move it towards the angry position, since I'm working on angry. If it's happy position, if it's happy eyebrow that I'm working on, then I move it towards the happy position a bit. So it's not like angry, but it's almost like it's getting towards angry, so that it's smooth, so that there's a smooth transition from the neutral position of the eyebrow to angry position of the eyebrow. It's like an in-between. So if you're conversant with animation, you know that in-between helps. Is the reason why comic books cannot just be converted into animation. That's what somebody was telling me the other day. Was like, why can't he just draw, like why can't I just flip through comic books and then while I have an animation in my hand? It doesn't work that way, because the bulk of the work is in the in-between. In fact, they might just be like 4 poses in like a whole story, like 4 poses in like a whole story, but you have to put in-betweens, and in-betweens might be up to like 50 frames, or like 100 or more than that even. So that is where the work is in. But for this point particularly, just make sure you do that in between kind of thing, so that the movement is smooth. So that's just what I'm ensuring right here.